It's finally here! For days after its announcement, the biggest thing since sliced bread was Fallout 4. It's probably just the circles I hung out in, but nobody wanted to talk about anything else gaming related. It was Fallout 4 or go sit in the corner and twiddle your thumbs. So without wasting your time, and mostly because I don't want you sending me to the corner, let's skip the rest of the intro and jump into the review. The tale Bethesda weaves may not be one for the ages, but it's superior to every other story they've told, which I believe we all know how terrific the main campaigns of Fallout 3 and Skyrim were. Alright, you got me. The bar that they previously set isn't that impressive to hurdle, but it's still an improvement that any new or veteran Vault Dweller can appreciate. The initial premise is largely the same as Fallout 3. You're Person X, searching for Person Y. It's everything after the introduction that should have players invested. Rather than a story that's simple as a layered onion, Fallout 4 is a piñata that needs to be banged around a little before the sweet stuff. And some of the candy can be found in the companions, sometimes literally in their inventory. They're no longer simple item carriers that will occasionally hurt things for you. They're fully realized characters who voice their opinions, interject during pivotal story moments, become spiteful, or fall madly in love with you.
I like having you close.
Oh, thanks, Blue. That's awfully sweet and unexpected of you.
There's just something about them that makes me care more than I used to. I keep finding myself reloading a save in order to complete a successful charisma dialogue option with Piper, trying to get every last drop of sweet karma from the situation, all while bumming out every time I did something that she didn't like. To top it off, once each companion fully likes you, you'll unlock a special perk that will include a number of possibilities. All in all, there's 13 different companions for the player to obtain throughout the Commonwealth. Bethesda has never had a voice main protagonist prior to Fallout 4. As a result of this, dialogue options previously contained the entirety of what the player was to say. With a voice protagonist, the text has been cut down tremendously, and for the worse. I understand the argument that reduced text speeds up the dialogue, thus making character interactions feel a bit more realistic. That doesn't change the fact that adding sarcastic as a response option is mildly infuriating. I don't want to sit there and play guessing games about what my character is going to say. It's something that will completely annoy some and be loved by others. A fair compromise would have been the option to set it how you wish. Full text or the short default version. Thankfully, with PC mods already adding the ability to see entire spoken lines, one can assume it'll come to consoles this spring alongside other mods. Questing is always your best bet at obtaining any significant amount of experience points. Side quests, main quests, and random encounters will give you generous amounts towards your next level. Enemies can give anywhere from 9 to 40 plus points, so make sure you're not only killing low-level enemies, or boars in the forest. While the encounters are short and sweet, side questing is where all the fun lies in a Bethesda game. Both characters and plot lines are created with a sense of flair that's usually missing in the main campaign. Not only do these missions have a different feel, but they have their own set of dynamic consequences. Take, for example, one of my personal favorites came from Pull the Plug. On the surface, it's just a pit full of water that can be found between Diamond City and Sanctuary. It houses a man who simply wants you to turn a few valves. The mission is a snore fest, but it's what happened afterwards that players will find far more interesting. Just make sure you check back in a couple days. Before I dive into comparing the visuals of Fallout 4 to other games this generation, I want to take a moment to talk about the game in comparison to Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Skyrim. Fallout 4 is simply the better looking game of the four. In terms of texture resolution, colors, and everything else, it's flat out superior. Those saying they look the same are probably the same folks who said the dress was white and gold. Lunatics. Now in comparison to other games, well, Fallout 4 falls short. While it's not can't reach the cookie jar short, it's closer to needs help screwing in the light bulb. It's definitely beautiful in its own right, but after playing Witcher 3 earlier this year, it feels like a wasted opportunity for something more. The fault can lightly be placed on the fact that Bethesda is still using their creation engine. Having been created in 2011, it was already showing its age when it released. Now that doesn't excuse The Witcher from surpassing the Fallout series by such a significant margin. Games have used similar engines and have gone on to make great graphical strides. Does this mean we see large improvements for performance? Sadly, we don't. Playing through the game, I witnessed significant frame rate drops when loading fresh areas and sectors of the map. While I endlessly searched the surrounding area of Diamond City, I was being followed, but not by enemies, but by the frames I kept dropping along the way. Having to wade through what's been the mantra this generation once more is growing tiresome. Receive a game at launch, only to see the superior and ideal version a month later. A bug-free version of Fallout 4 will never exist. but this reviewer is becoming less sympathetic to developers as the hardware becomes more familiar. Let's hope the patch coming soon will alleviate these concerns across all platforms. There's no shortage of weapons to be found in the game. It's not crazy like Borderlands, whether you spread your perks across all weapon categories, or keep it closer to the chest of the melee build. On top of the modest armory of killing items, players will find that each weapon comes with modification options. From muzzles and sights to saw blades and barbed wire, players will notice a significant difference after making changes to their weapons. What's even better is that players can save modifications for use on a different weapon after replacing it. You can't let anything go to waste. Weapons aren't the only thing that you can decorate, as armor can get a makeover as well. Pimp your power armor out with a Pip-Boy headlamp, or add some pockets to your chest for extra carrying space. Whatever stats you're looking to boost, you're sure to find something that fits your fancy in the heap of accessories. If you spot a legendary foe, attack without mercy. Each one has a chance to drop an item with a legendary perk that has a significant chance of increasing your kill count. Perhaps you get double damage, or the ability to slow time after dropping below 20% health. Whatever perk you roll, it'll find a nice little cozy slot in your favorites. Thankfully, the guns aren't wasted this time around either, as the mechanics have received a much needed overhaul. Shooting your weapon is way more satisfying than it used to be. If a player is even a little skillful, they won't have to completely rely on VATS like previous titles in the series. Speaking of VATS, the mechanic has received a small nerf. No longer are enemies completely frozen like you're some sort of time cop. Instead, the world around you gets its speed reduced significantly, somewhere close to 5% of the game's normal speed. This difficulty boost gave me an added sense of satisfaction. You'll get perky once you realize the perks of playing Fallout include unlocking nifty perks. A couple of weeks before launch, I did a few pieces detailing the possibilities, and when the official list released, I wasn't let down. The Perk Variety brings back a lot of fan favorites, including new ones that help craft out a hefty number of build varieties. Want to take a sledgehammer to everything? Sure! Want to build a charismatic gambler that either smooches or lucks his way out of everything? You can do that! If you're the Bethesda gamer that crafts different characters for multiple playthroughs, then Fallout 4 is your new home. Home sweet home. I'm not talking about simply owning property, nor am I hinting at the Motley Crue song. I'm talking about making your own settlements. Build a mansion, your dream car, Star Wars defense system, or turn into Farmer Joe. Settlements bring on a plethora of options to explore in multiple locations, with each being able to hold new settlers for you to meddle with meticulously until they are replaced by a synth. These areas can also become your own personal shopping center. If you're not big into crafting, boost your settlements up and bring in some store owners after taking on the second rank of the local leader perk. It's another way for you to come across the best weapons the game has to offer. Settlements are an arduous task to maintain, but it's so fun that you're bound to forget about the work involved. Every time you release a game with as much hype as Fallout 4, there will be detractors yelling at you about where a developer messed up. Pile this in with the fanboys that will say the game is perfect, and you're looking at an endless sea of opinions from one end of the scale to the other. So where does mine fit in? For me, I've always enjoyed the Elder Scrolls more. I personally never fell for the hype of Fallout, as I used to be the "it's just Skyrim with guns" guy that no one likes. But without a doubt, that's completely changed. Fallout 4 has become my all-time favorite RPG from Bethesda. Underneath the rust and decay of bugs and performance issues, there's a fantastic game to play, and so much to find and places to explore that after 65 hours I find myself still getting lost. Fallout 4 was worth the hype.